Paldea Evolved drops this weekend, and I could not be more excited. Hey, Nick with 9Card TCG, and today, well, I actually left it up to you. I put a vote up on the YouTube on which deck profile you wanted to see the most, and the overwhelming answer was Meowscarada EX. So that's exactly what we're talking about today. If you voted for the other two decks, United Wings or Quaquaval or Quaquaval, I don't really know how to pronounce that apparently, but if you voted for one of those two, we will be covering them in the near future. So don't go anywhere. I mean, you're gonna have to go somewhere, I guess. But for now, right? Come back. I don't know. I'm rambling. I don't know what I'm doing. It's Monday, and I'm kind of excited for some reason. But anyway, we're just gonna go ahead. We're gonna go to Pokegear, check out this deck profile. Could I make it like physical cards? Yeah, probably, and I will have to at some point to do some testing with it. But for now, we're gonna go to Pokegear, take a look at the deck profile, and yeah, let's just get to it. The star of the deck is Meowscarada EX, 310 health, stage 2 grass type Pokemon. There's not a lot of things that get hit for grass weakness. The only two things that really come to mind that are seen play are Umbreon VMAX and Tyranitar V. We have an ability, Magic Bouquet, discard a grass energy from your hand and put 3 damage counters on one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. This is really nice because you're placing damage counters, so we bypass Mana Feed. It's really cool. Nail Scratch is our one and only attack, which I despise the name Nail Scratch. I don't understand why they went with that. But anyway, 2 colorless energies, hits 100 damage, and if your opponent's active Pokemon has any damage counters on it, we do an extra 120. How does Magic Bouquet putting damage counters on the bench help Nail Scratch? Well, the answer relies on Radiant Alakazam. Painful Spoons move up to 2 damage counters from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another one of their Pokemon. So the idea is we use Magic Bouquet to put damage counters, put 3 damage counters on a benched Pokemon. Then we move up to 2 of them from that benched Pokemon to the active, and now Nail Scratch can hit for the bigger 1 or 220 damage. And we still leave 1 or 2 damage counters on the opponent's benched Pokemon so that we can Nail Scratch that for more damage too, and that's kind of a nice little combo. Now you might be saying, Nick, what other Pokemon do we got in this deck? Well, if we have the Meowscarada EX, we do need the Floragato and the Sprigatito so we can evolve up to the Meowscarada. So we got a 4-1-4 line. Could you go 4-2-4? Yeah, probably, but we do have 4 copies of Rare Candy, so we can go ahead and skip the stage 2 entirely. We have 4 copies of Nest Ball to find the Sprigatitos, and it also lets us find our Bidoof and Radiant Alakazam, so we can go ahead and put them directly onto the bench. Artazone is a stadium. It's a brand new stadium with Paldea Evolved that is basically Nest Ball. It lets you search your deck for a basic non-rule box Pokemon and put it directly onto your bench. So that's kind of cool. While we're on the topic of stadiums, we do have a collapse stadium. Each player can't have more than 4 Pokemon on the bench, and if you have 5, you have to discard until you only have 4. So one of the reasons that I kind of like the collapse stadium is because it lets us get rid of a Meowscarada or a Lumineon or something that could be prize liabilities. And what I mean by that is we can deny our opponent taking those 2 prizes. Let's say a Meowscarada took big damage, it got hit by single strike crush, and it got hit for 280 damage, and it's going to get knocked out the next turn. Well, we can retreat that to the bench and then use Collapse Stadium, assuming our bench is full, to get the Meowscarada off of the bench and into the discard pile, and our opponent doesn't take those 2 prizes. It's just a good way of denying some prizes, and it can be used offensively. If our opponent has a full bench, we can reduce them down to 4 instead. So that's kind of how we can use the Collapse Stadium. So other Pokemon in the deck, Lumineon V lets us search our deck when we play from our hand to the bench. Anyway, search your deck for a supporter card and put it into your hand. We have a few options for supporters. The first one is Arven. Search your deck for an item and a tool card, and then that's really it. That's all it does. So we can go ahead and get an item like the Rare Candy, and the tool card, we have one option for a Seal Stone, lets you search your deck for any card you want. So off of the Arven, we can go ahead and get for a Seal Stone, get any card we want, Meowscarada for example, and a Rare Candy off of the Arven, and now all of a sudden that Sprigatito went from nothing to a big bad Meowscarada, which is pretty cool. Forest Seal Stone also lets us search for things like double turbo energy, so we can start attacking right away. If we have like an Ultra Ball in hand already, or we have a rare candy in hand, we can Forest Seal Stone or we can Arvin for Forest Seal Stone, which can get us the double turbo energy, and then we get the other Ultra Ball or rare candy, the opposite of whichever one we have. And then boom, now we got a Meowscarada and a way to attack for turn. Pretty cool. Some of the other items we have, well, I guess we should finish the Pokemon first, right? We have Bibro, Industrious Sizes, drawn to you have 5 cards in your hand. Really nice, especially with Ultra Ball, which essentially gets rid of 3 cards out of your hand. The Ultra Ball and the 2 cards you have to discard. So now we got rid of 3 cards out of our hand, and now we can fill it back up to 5 with something like Bibro. Nice way of just drawing some extra cards. Could you go something else? Yeah, you could. I kind of just like Bibro, though. That's just me. Why don't we finish up these supporters since we mentioned them with Lumineon? We got a couple of boss's orders. Magic Bouquet puts damage counters on the bench, and the Nail Scratch hits for more damage. So if we want to do that, we can just bring them up and hit them for big damage. Pretty cool. Gardenia's Vigor is another nice, it's not maybe a requirement for this deck, but I kind of like it. Draw 2 cards, and if you drew any cards in this way, you can attach up to 2 grass energies from your hand to one of your benched Pokemon. Now, it could be any Pokemon, but really, it's going to go to the Mewoscarada, which, by the way, only needs 2 energies to attack. So it's a really cool way of setting up multiple Meowscaradas, and we get to draw a couple cards in the process. Iono is a new supporter. You're going to see it everywhere, so make sure you learn it. Each player shuffles their hand, puts it to the bottom of their deck, just like you did with Marnie, and then you draw until you have the same number of cards in hand as you do prizes, which is really nice. It's like a combination of N and Marnie. If you played with N in the past, now instead of shuffling your hand into your deck, you're going to shuffle your hand and put it to the bottom. So, that could be good or bad if you had a really bad hand or a card you really don't want to see right now. Putting them to the bottom, not a bad thing. You're not going to see them again. However, if you did like your hand, putting those cards at the bottom is really annoying, because now there's no chance or a lower chance that you're going to see them depending on the counts and everything in your deck. The best draw supporter of all time, though, is Professor's Research. Discard your hand, draw 7. It just doesn't get better than that. Now, we can go on to the items, and we have an Energy Search. This could be if you wanted a Hisuian Heavy Ball, so we can go ahead and get the Radiant Alakazam out of the prizes, since it is a very important part of our strategy. We have a couple of copies of Escape Rope, since Magic Bouquet puts damage onto the bench, and Gardenia's lets us power up our bench, while moving a Pokemon from our bench to the active is really nice, and we get to, potentially move a Pokemon that has damage counters on it from our opponent's bench into the active, so Nail Scratch hits a little bit more. You can increase the chances of your opponent having damage counters on their Pokemon by throwing in a Flying Entry Holucha, which is with Scarlet and Violet. Now you get to, when you play from your hand to the bench, put 1 damage counter on 2 of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So now we go ahead, we put 3 damage counters on 1 with a Meowscarada. Flying Entry Holucha, now we have 4 on it, and then if we Meowscarada again, now it goes up to 7. We're knocking out Comfeys, we're knocking out Manaphies. So in the Lost Zone deck against something like that, if we have 2 Meowscaradas in play, we can go ahead and very easily knock out 2 Comfeys or Comfey and a Manaphy, whatever, and take some very easy prizes and have 310 health in the process, so that it's a little bit hard for our opponent to just come out and counter KO. Meanwhile, we're crumbling their board pretty easily. Again, the Meowscarada, if you have 3 in play, you could put 3 damage counters on stuff, right? And then just start moving like 9 really total, and start moving some damage counters around with the Radiant Alakazam. You do need a lot of grass energies to make that happen. So we have 8 grass energies and 4 double turbo. The double turbo, we just want to be able to, attach for turn and start attacking. But the grass energies, we want to be able to use with Gardenias, and we have to discard them for the Magic Bouquet ability. So we really want to be using Superior Energy Retrieval, which is a reprint. You can only use this card if you discard 2 other cards from your hand, but if you do, you can get 4 energy cards, 4 basic energies from your discard and put them back into your hand. And again, this kind of synergy is nice with Bibro. Discard 2 cards, and then you can go ahead and, just you get rid of the Superior Energy Retrieval. You can get some basic energies, use those basic energies to attach for turn. You can play Gardenias. So now, let's say we use a superior energy retrieval, get 4 energies. We can Magic Bouquet away 2 of them, and then use Gardenias to take those other 2 and put them onto a benched Pokemon. Or we can Magic Bouquet 1, attach 1, Gardenias 2, whatever we need to do, right? There's a lot of combinations of options between Gardenias, the Grass Energy, and the Superior Energy Retrieval. All the while, we're discarding cards with Energy Retrieval and the Ultra Ball to draw more with Beaverell. I feel like it's kind of a nice little, combo or loop that we can make with them. But I will be honest, I have no games practiced with this deck. So I don't exactly know what the best list is going to be. This is just an overall guide or template. And as people play the deck, we'll kind of figure out what works a little bit better, if it's one that we should consider playing at all. But there you have it. That's the Meowscarada deck. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know. I want to know what you plan on putting in your Meowscarada deck. How are you going to build it? What's the strategy? I mean, the strategy is basically all the same. Put damage counters on the bench, move them to the active, hit for bigger damage with Nail Scratch. I'm not super convinced about this deck. I feel like it's missing something. Maybe the Fortress EX might be a good way of powering things up, and then you can Iono your opponent down to 4 cards, or maybe less, depending on when in the game. I don't know about that. It just doesn't feel super necessary when attack cost of 2, where we can, like attach in Raihan if you wanted to go that route. You can attach the DTE, you can Gardenias. Like, you have a few ways of powering up a Meowscarada out of nowhere, which is kind of nice. And so you might not need to give up the 2 prizes with the Fortress, like you would in some other decks. But yeah, there you go. That's the Meowscarada deck. Thank you so much for voting in the poll. If you did, if you didn't, you can always subscribe to the channel so you can see when more polls go up, because I want to do more of it. I want to get more viewer curated content, right? I want to put out videos that you are interested in. So tell me in the comments, tell me on Twitter or in Discord what you want to see, so I can make those kind of things happen. Because really, that's what this is, right? I want to make videos that interest you. So if you tell me, I can do that. But that's going to do it for us today. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Found this informative. If you did, again, like, subscribe, comment, all kind of stuff. It tells YouTube this is a good channel and other people should watch it. And yeah, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. I want to say thank you very much to our member Cubs and Ursas, Fernando Ortiz, Black Winds, Mike the Highest, Chin Pacomon. Thank you all so much for your support. It means the world to me. And if you want to become a member, you can click the YouTube member thing on the bottom and get your name read out as well.